Hey you, welcome back to my channel. Okay, so finally July is here and I've been telling you guys that I was going to show you my new planner template, which is what I'm calling my light version. So what you guys have seen me using since mostly January 2020, what I started developing and started using on my channel was my max version. And then you saw me start transitioning and developing my light version. So I'll show you the differences in just a second. Okay, so I'm only going to show you the monthly section because I am finalizing these two versions and just making tweaks before I send them to be manufactured and printed for you guys. So yes, very exciting, very exciting. So this is the max version. So what you guys have seen me use is the calendar portion, which is still the same as in the light version. And then you saw me use this where I have the income, savings, monthly expenses, cash envelopes, debt, sinking funds broken out into their own sections. And then it had the planned expenses right here, a section for the credit score, the budget summary, and then a section for if you wanted to do a monthly tracker, you could do sinking funds right here, or if you needed a bigger section from say like debt and you're on a debt journey, you could break out your debt right here and then do a summarized version right here. So it's kind of like up to you what you wanted to use this space for. And then you had a space for notes right here. And then you will move on to your expense tracker with the income right here, expenses down here, where it will just be a running expense like this. I did switch up this section right here. This is new where I put the income total and then the expenses total and then what do you have remaining. So I know everyone doesn't do a zero-based budget, so that's why I wanted to put what was right here, just to make it flexible for you guys. So I am going to do a bi-weekly version and a weekly version, but this first go round is just going to be the bi-weekly versions release. So that means for every column, which this has 3 columns so that there's enough columns for magic months, there's going to be an expense tracker per column. So you'll get, I don't know if I printed them all out, but for bi-weekly you'll have 1, 2, 3 expense trackers, and then it goes into the monthly review with a notes page right here, and then on the back of it is a notes page. So that is the max version. So now what I've been working on and using since April is the light version. So the light version still has the same calendar. Let me put this right here. So it still has the same calendar, but this section is different and simplified. So I put an income space right here. So it still has 5 spaces for income. And then I have nothing but expenses. So you just write down all of your expenses and it rolls over for right here. So it does have a subtotal line. So you can subtotal this section and then you can continue here. And then I just rolled over that income, expenses, and total remaining from that you just saw in the expense tracker, and I put it right here. So that serves as your budget summary, whereas in the max version, this was your budget summary. So now you have just a simple what's coming in, what's going out, what's remaining. It's simplified right here. So because this is the light version, I am only doing these 2 pages for your monthly budget breakdown. So once you turn it, it goes into the transaction log, which is this planner's version of the expense trackers. So I'll show you again. So this is just these 2 pages for the light, and then for the max, you get everything broken out. So you get even more space with the max, but in case you don't need or want all that, you get like 4 pages in total, whereas the simplified version, you just get 2. And then flipping over to the transaction log, it goes like that. And then here is the expense tracker. So the difference between the expense tracker and the transaction log is you can see the columns right here. There is no income portion and there is no expenses portion. It's all just one running log, or however you want to use it. Just in case you want to use one transaction log per week, this could be like your week 1, week 2, and then so on and so forth. But just in case that's how you wanted to use it, I did put a total row at the bottom of each transaction log. So this is the difference. Whereas with the expense tracker, you could use these 2 pages per paycheck. So running and then 1 page per week, if that's what you want to do. Or you can use 2 pages per paycheck, because I didn't print it out, but I am going to include 6 pages worth of transaction logs. So that's being 1, 2, 3, 4, and I didn't print it out, but it would be essentially, oh, I did print it out, 5, 6. So it's going to be those 6 pages, and then it moves on to the month end review, and then it will move on to the next month. So the simplified version does not have a notes page, but you could easily pop in your own notes pages or what have you. So that is the main difference between the max and the light versions. It's just however you want to do your monthly budget. So for the max version, I would say, like, don't get me wrong, both of these versions are beginner friendly. So if you're new to budgeting or if you're a seasoned budgeter, either one of these versions would be good for you. It just depends on how you want to budget. So for the max version, I would say if you want to budget from paycheck to paycheck, or if you want or need structure, if you want a lot of space for notes and trackers and things, or if you like to budget and you like seeing the numbers and you have a lot of financial goals or a more complex budget, then I would say go with the max version. On the other hand, if you don't want or need to budget paycheck to paycheck and you just want like space to write down your budget, I would say go for the light version. And the light version, I developed it mostly with people in mind who don't really like to budget or spend as much time on their budgets and don't really want to get into the numbers like that. They just want to see what comes in and what goes out, and then just be done and know how much they have left over in order to do what they want to do. Or it's just for people who just generally don't want to spend a lot of time on budgeting. They just want something simple, or they have a simple budget. So I now fall into the latter category just because I want something simple, because I'm not trying to get a hold of bills or anything like that because we're 1 month ahead, but I still need like some kind of structure that gives me a way to track expenses from week to week, because I need that discipline, but I don't essentially need as much space as the max budget gives me, because since I use Q Money and everything, I have a digital cash envelope system, and just like most of my budget is digital, so I'm not dealing with cash. I don't need as much space and things like that. And also I've been finding that I haven't been great on my budget closeouts at the end of the month. All of my month reviews are blank. Like, I am not going back and categorizing expenses, which is something I really need to do, because it is part of my full drill down budget method, where you go and you review your expenses month to month. I just found that I haven't been doing it, so I need to fix that, because I can't be not wanting to use that portion of my planner, and I'm the one that made the planner. So I'm trying to figure out a way to make sure that categorizing expenses is easy. So I'm trying to reduce the friction on that. So by doing this transaction log on 1 page, the main difference is that I added a category. So you can put your date, the category of the expense, the description, and this is just runs like a ledger, or like if you guys are familiar with checkbooks, you just write whether money came in, money went out, and then you write the balance. It could be the balance of your account, a sinking fund, however you want to use this transaction log is up to you, but I mostly wanted this so that I could have a space right here to categorize my expenses, because most of the time when I'm buying like stuff from Amazon, I am finding that, I buy mixed things. Sometimes I buy food, stuff for the house, things like that, but it's always a hassle for for me, and just because I'm being lazy, to go back and write it in here. But if I go ahead and just write it in here and I know I have a space for categories already, then at a later date I can come back and easily color code. Whereas with the Max version, if I wanted to color code, I would have to carry all of the markers with me in order to color code right then and there. So I want to be able to categorize as I'm writing down my purchases. And so yeah, that's just a preference. I could add a column in the Max version to put like the category, but all of these would be like smaller columns. But if that's something you guys would like to see, then I'm definitely open to it, of just adding a column for like the category. So just let me know down in the comments if that's something you guys want to see, because I mean, I am making this for you guys as well. So all right, now to move on to my actual budget, I'm just going to give you guys an overview of my previous month so I can just start getting in the habit of like giving an update on what happened in the previous month's budget, so I can give you guys like the full loop. So I feel like I'm just bringing my budgets and I'm not telling you what like the results of the prior month. So while I am decorating my monthly budget for July, I'll go ahead and turn you guys over to a voiceover where I am just explaining what happened in the prior month's budget as I decorate this July. All right, so this is my July all decorated. So the 14th, or sorry, the 14th. Why am I way up here with the 14th? The 1st through the 15th is all of the bills that would go into like our first paycheck if we were budgeting paycheck to paycheck still. And then everything from the 16th to the last day of the month, it would fall into our second paycheck. So more on that in just a little bit, but this is how I am going to use the light version this month. So our income is still going to be 6,000. So business did increase because I realized that I was budgeting Adobe Cloud wrong. So Adobe Cloud is actually $29.99 instead of $19.99. So yeah, I never updated it. Business is going to be $129.98. So we have 5,870 spot 02 to work with as far as our take-home pay. I do have a note here that I am eligible for my company's 401k plan, and my company does match 3%. So I do have a note here saying that our take-home pay is going to be reduced a little bit because of that contribution. So I'm going to try and leave like a little bit of room, like money left over in this amount, just so I can kind of account for how that's going to affect my paycheck. I mean, it's only 3% pre-taxes, so it shouldn't be that bad, but I don't know. So that is going to be the income for the month. So moving on, our first expense is going to be saving up for Bora Bora. And last month I did it wrong. I was supposed to set aside $250 instead of $125 because it was $125 per paycheck. So with 2 paychecks essentially per month, that would be $250. So I made sure to write that in ahead of time just to remind myself. And then for the mortgage, it's supposed to be reduced this month, but I'm going to put the old amount of 1,965 spot 97 just in case. I did see our escrow shortage check was deposited, but I don't know if it was deposited in time to take effect to lower our mortgage. So that'll be interesting if they deposited the check and then our mortgage still isn't lowered. So yeah, stay tuned on what happens there. But childcare is $57. Life insurance for hubby is $69.96. Life insurance for me is $57.64. Vivint is $57.14. Farmers is $308.16. Frontier is $75.86. Verizon is, it is not $159.12. I need to get that amount. So that amount is now $173.78. I feel like Verizon has been going back and forth with our bill and it's kind of annoying, but that's what it is. And then we did start pest control, and it is a quarterly bill, but I'm going to budget for it monthly so that when the next quarterly bill comes up, we have the money, and it just makes it more manageable than having to pay like $100 every couple of months. So Netflix is $19.99. One of them households where Netflix was like, stop sharing. So we now have to pay for our own Netflix, but you know what? We're just gonna bite the bullet because besides Crunchyroll, where we get all of our anime, Netflix is really the only streaming service that we use. We do have Disney Plus as well, which has been coming in handy with movie night, but that is a perk that comes with our Verizon plan, so we don't pay for Disney Plus since it's already included. This portion is all of the monthly expenses that have a due date besides our car loan, but down here is more of our, you could say like our variable expenses where it doesn't have a due date. And if we went bankrupt, this is the first area where we have control over, for one, but we can control how much these things are. Well, I mean, except for the utilities, I do have them down there. Can't really control that, but I mean, you know, in a tight spot, you can work things out with your utilities companies for the most part. So with water and trash is pretty steady, so I'm going to give that $135. And then electric, our annual electric bill, oh my gosh. I'm annoyed, but okay, so if you don't know, if you're new to the channel, we do have solar panels on our home. So we own the solar panels and we just pay the monthly bill, and then we have elected to pay our usage bill annually. So monthly, the bill that you guys see me budgeting for is just for them to provide electric service to our home, but our actual usage is billed annually. So anyways, the first year our bill was due, I don't think we owed anything. Yeah, because I think it's our fourth year here. Yeah, so our first year in the home, our annual usage, we didn't owe anything. We actually got a credit. And then the second year, we had to pay $8 total for the total year's usage. And then last year, we had to pay $208. And this year, we had to pay a total of $530 for usage. And I know all of y'all are throwing cans of vegetables saying boo boo, you pay that in a month. But you know, I feel you. But the whole reason why we got solar panels is so that we wouldn't have to pay as much for our usage. So, you know, I'm kind of bummed about that, but it could be worse. So anyways, just because, you know, we have little ones, I am going to beef up our electric bill and in anticipation for the bill being the same amount or around the same amount next year, because the girls will be going on 2 in October and Bryce is going on 5 in December. So Bryce is pretty good, but the girls still can't sleep with like blankets and stuff just yet, and they recommend no blankets and all that until 2 years old. So they're not quite there yet, but we can start giving them blankets and stuff next year, and we can start getting this electric bill down because we won't have to run the heater and all that good stuff when it's cold, and then that'll also decrease our natural gas bill. And speaking of which, the natural gas bill was just horrendous. So it was $53 last month, and then I checked the bill and they're talking about $143. It's like, how, Sway? Please tell me how we went from $53 to $143 for our gas. Like, what? We haven't even been turning on the heater. So anyways, I'm just gonna budget another $200 for natural gas because they just playing in my face and I don't appreciate it. So we'll see what that bill actually comes to. And if it's not the 143 or 45, whatever they was talking about, then the extra amount will just stay in this bill cube as a buffer. So moving on, yes, we're gonna do the usual $500. Oh my gosh, we're gonna have to ramp that up. No. Hubby goes back to school July 31st, so we don't have to change our gas for the month of July, but I am gonna have to change it for the month of August. So I just popped in my own notes page. This is where I make my notes for the next upcoming month, so that when I'm setting up my budget, I could just check here to see if I made notes to myself to include something in the next month's budget. So groceries, $500 here. That has been working for us if we, you know, aren't being lazy and all that kind of stuff. Costco, 300 has been working. Oh, actually, let me see. Caffeine is has been 150, but I'll do caffeine at 50 this month and then give the extra $100 to Costco, because I did have to take $100 from caffeine last month anyway, just because like I went over budget for my Costco, so I had to like move some things around in my budget last month, if you guys saw my Costco haul. So I stocked up on some things that I didn't budget for. So I don't really see that really changing, because I want to pick up the stuff that we're going to use anyway while it's on sale. And we're trying to decrease our caffeine budget and drink more coffee at home, but we'll see how it goes. So Costco is going to get $400 instead of $300, and then car loan is still $256.29, and then diapers and wipes is $100. So I'll go ahead and add all that up and then see what we have remaining so that we can see what we're working with for planned expenses. All right, so I'm not gonna lie, as I was typing these in on the calculator, I was gonna say, how the heck are we gonna have any money left over? Because okay, so the total for these expenses, and these are like our non-negotiables, this has to be paid because it's mostly our 4 walls, so it has to be paid first. 5,263.13. So what is remaining is $736.87, which, Oh my goodness. Okay, so we might be in a pickle here. This is my business expenses. So let's go ahead and write those in. Keeping in mind that I only have $736 left to fund the rest of these. We shall see what is going to happen. For my business expenses, we'll do 30 for QuickBooks, 30 for Shopify, $9.99 for iCloud. Adobe Cloud is $29.99. Epidemic Sound is $15, and HP Ink is $15. So we're going to do, how much do we have left? Okay, so we have $606.89 left. So Adobe Cloud is paid annually. So yeah, I fell off of budgeting, and this amount right here is basically a sinking fund. So I'm supposed to be putting away $29.99 every month so that when the renewal rolls around, I have that lump sum to pay. But I didn't do that this time. So I need to pay out the full amount, and it's due in August. So I'm doing half in July and half in August. So let's go ahead and subtract that. Okay, so $426.95, and I do want to start doing a sinking fund for at least my car registration, because my car registration is like $350 versus Hub's is like $160, just because I have a newer car. Mine is more expensive, so I want to start doing a sinking fund so I don't have to pay $350 all at once next year. So I want to do that, which is $38.50. And then for our daycare, they charge a material fee, which is $100 per child. We have 3 children, so that's $300 that's due in January. And with Christmas and stuff coming up, I'm not trying to fork out $300 right after Christmas. So I want to do a sinking fund for that as well. And if I start in July, I only have to do $50 a month. So let's go ahead and subtract those two and keep those in the budget. So now we're down to $338.45, which is good news and bad news, because we are going on a road trip in July, and I wanted to set aside another $400 because we are pitching in to get a rental car and pay for gas and all that. But at this point, we only have $400 because that's what I put away last month. I would have put another $400 away this month to go like help pay for the rental car, but we would have to dip into savings anyway in order to help pay for gas and then food and all that while we're on the road and away. We're going to visit family, so we don't have to worry about lodging, but we have to dip into savings anyway. So what I want to do instead is whatever's left, there's some additional sinking funds that I want to fund starting this month, so that Christmas and all the things that we need to do for the rest of the year for like the holiday season, it won't be as tough. So I put the total here. This 323 is a total of everything I want to put away for the month of July. So let's do that really quick. Okay, so road trip, which is going to give the remaining $15.45, and then we'll go ahead and do 323 here, and that again is the total of the sinking funds. But let me go ahead and write in everything that makes up this amount really quick. Okay, so these are all of the expenses that make up this 323, and I'm already putting it in column number 1 because I don't want to double the numbers in this column. So if I add all of these up, they do equal 323. So what the expenses are is I'm starting to save for our kids' birthday, because again, the girls' birthday are in October and then Bryce's birthday is in December. So I want to start saving up for birthday gifts for them. Each child is getting $200 for their birthday. So this isn't even including what we're going to spend on just like celebrating their birthday, because we don't do birthday parties every year, but this is Bryce's 5th birthday party. So 5th birthday, so he will get a birthday party. And then the girls on non-milestone birthdays, so like 1, 5, 12, or 13, however you do it, we try to do experiences instead of birthday parties. So we'll do something small and have a cake with like the family, but for the most part, the majority of the money for their birthday will be taking them somewhere for some kind of experience. So that's not even counting that. This is strictly for their birthday presents. It's my birthday in July, so I'm setting aside $75 for myself to do something, or I don't know. We do like to celebrate Grandparents Day, so that's just getting both sets of grandparents together in order to do something with the kids. You know, that's kid friendly, but that the both, like, everybody, the grandparents and the kids, can enjoy. So last year we did a pumpkin carving, kind of not a contest, but just like each child had a pumpkin, like a faux pumpkin that they just carved a face into it, and the grandparents helped the children do it. So me and Hubs just kind of like sat out and kind of like, you know, just provided support and just spent some quality times. And then I am setting aside $40 for Bath and Body Works Candle Day, because try as I might, I always end up buying numerous candles from Candle Day. So I typically like to get a candle a month. So at $10, $11 times 12, you know, that's what I'm budgeting for. So yeah, that won't be like another larger expense come December on top of all the things that happen in December. That won't be another $150 out of our pocket all at once. So I'm trying to prepare for it now. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead and start here because that is all of the expenses. I'm gonna go ahead and total up all of the expenses. So this plus everything in this column to go ahead and write the total expenses. So let me go ahead and do that. All right, so all the expenses equals 6,000. So if we do income 6,000 minus expenses of 6,000, we have a zero-based budget, which is exactly what I was looking for. So I am going to start using these columns because, like I said, I need more structure back in my budgets. I need something to tick off and check and cross off and all the things in order for me to at least check in with my budget once a day. So I need to build that habit back up because, yeah, I've been letting it slide for way too long. So what I'm going to do is everything that needs to come out in the first half of the month or on the first of the month, I'm going to write in this column, and everything that needs to come out in the second half of the month, I'm going to write in this column. And I'm going to do that by looking at my monthly calendar. So anything in pink goes in column number 1, anything in purple goes in column number 2. So I'm going to do that for all these expenses, and then I'll be back. All right, so I wrote everything from this monthly budget into column 1 or column 2 because the issue that I've been finding with a lot of budgets that I have used in the past or like done in the past before my drill down budget planner is I have space to do the monthly budget, but when it comes time to pay bills and all that kind of stuff, like there's money left over, but I don't know when I can spend the money on like my sinking funds and how much I can spend for groceries and all that other kind of stuff. So breaking it down by paycheck in these columns will allow me to just manage my budget easier. And it also allows me how much money is left over per paycheck and when I can spend money, when the bills are due, things like that. So that's why I like doing it like this as well. So I'm going to go ahead and add up what amounts are needed for the first half of the month and the second half of the month, and then I'll be right back. All right, so I went ahead and added up all these columns. So in column number 1, the total expenses is $5,031.28. And then for column number 2 is $968.72. I did go ahead and make this line above the total, a subtotal to add up all the items right here on this side. And then that way, when you get down to the total again, you could just add those two up, which I definitely did not do. Okay, so now that we have the expenses total, we need the income total. So for business, the income needed for the first half of the month is all of these items right here. So if I do $129.98 minus $30, which falls into the last half of the month, we'll do 30 here, and then $129.98 minus 30, $99.98. So that'll give us the business portion. The income that we need for take-home pay for paycheck 1 is $5,031.28 minus $99.98 should give us $4,931.30. So if I add those two together, it'll give me 5,031.28, and then 968.72 total expenses the last half of the month. So subtract $30 from that is going to be 938.72 of income that we need in order for to pay for the expenses that are coming out the last half of the month. So 968.72, and we'll go ahead and add those up just because my math does not be mathing sometimes. So income for paycheck number 1 is 5,031.28, and then for paycheck number 2 is 968.72. So subtract the income from the expenses for paycheck number 1, you have a 0, and then subtract income or expenses from income for paycheck number 2, and you have a 0, which gives us a zero-based budget for the month of July. So now what I'm going to do is, in order to stay on track and then make this more manageable, everything in column number 1 I'm going to write on these 2 pages, and then everything in column number 2 I'm going to write on these 2 pages, so I can keep track week by week. I can just stay on top of my budget, and then it's essentially just another version of the expense tracker. So let me go ahead and do that, and then I'll be right back. All right, so I'm back. I wrote everything from column 1. I looked at my calendar and I split it up into weeks, so I can use my transaction logs week by week. So this is week 1, 2, 3, 4. So how I did it is everything that fell on these 2 days and this first week I wrote on week 1. So, and then everything from this week is on week transaction log 2, and then so on and so forth. And in doing so, that just helped me check to make sure that everything that was on my calendar was accounted for in like these trackers and in my monthly budget. And I actually caught something that I missed, which is ouchie. So we are going to a wedding on the 15th, and I did not budget for the wedding gift in this budget breakdown. So we're going to basically have to take that from savings at this point, because I'm not going to redo our budget. And I mean, I could take the money out of these sinking funds, but we need these sinking funds. And yeah, we have money in savings, so we're just going to do that. I'm just going to chalk it up to I need to get back on budgeting for real, and stop playing around, and really dive into the numbers and start setting us up for success like I used to do, instead of budgeting loosey-goosey. So I'm done with budgeting at this point. So when July 1st comes, I'll be on this page, and then I'll just write down the amounts that were actually taken out of the account. And if we get any money, I'll write it here, but for the most part, it'll just be here. And then the balance portion I'm probably not going to use. I mostly put this in for you guys, because since I use Q Money, those are real like accounts, like it's a real account. The money comes out of there automatically. So I use digital cash envelopes, so I don't really need to worry about the balance, because yeah. So I wanted to make this page a little bit cuter, so by using these stickers. So I'm just gonna do that really quick. It's nowhere near the size that I thought it was going to be. That is crooked AF. And if you're wondering why I left the space like right here, I'm playing around with setting up automatic transfers in Cube Money, so that I could put all of the money for bills in a bill cube, and then that money just gets paid out as the month goes on, and I don't have to worry about mixing bill money with like sinking funds free type money. So I can just go ahead and put this lump sum of $5,263.13 into a bill cube, and then as bills come out, they'll come out of that bill cube. So that'll be like another layer on top of Q Money. But this right here is probably what you guys see me do my digital cash stuffing. I'll probably do this section right here with you guys in my monthly reset video, because I was thinking about doing like a budget portion on there. That seems to be popular on the monthly reset videos on YouTube. So yeah, oops, Did not want to put that right there. Alrighty, that did not do all that much like I thought it would, but it's perfectly fine. I'm trying to use my stash. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this a very long, but I hope it was thorough video, and give me a thumbs up if you did, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.